In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, we give him praise and thanks for coming in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever, and raising up in our midst the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and granting to us out of his grace the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I would like to greet you all with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, I would like to begin by saying I'm a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I pray to Almighty God Allah that he helps me to share with you what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has shared with us. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is that great teacher of freedom, justice, and equality among Black people in America and really all people throughout the earth. I want to thank him for giving me this opportunity to come before you today. I would like to thank Minister Ismail Muhammad, who is the minister here at Mas Mariam, for giving me this opportunity. I would like to thank the students in the ministry who shared words. I would like to thank all of the believers, the FOI for passing out flyers for today's program. So brothers and sisters, today we're dealing with a mighty subject entitled Stop the Killing. And the thing that inspired the subject actually was over the summer, I was sitting in my office at work, and most of you know I work in Chicago public schools, and we just had 2 students that had been murdered. One young man was shot 18 times by the Chicago police. You probably heard about it on the news. He was under a car, and when he came from under the car, they shot him 18 times. This was the first student I met when I came to Julian High School on my first day. His name was Warren Robinson. He weighed about 90 pounds, soaking wet with Timberland boots and 20 rolls of quarters in his pockets. He was not a threat. The other young man was going through the neighborhood, you know how we used to do, and you checking car doors, right? To catch somebody lacking, right? So he's checking car doors, and the alarm goes off. And somebody comes out of the house, it was 3 of them, and shoot at all 3 of the boys. The student was shot in his chest. Another student was shot in the foot. So they all ran in separate directions. The young man that was shot in the chest, they found him 9 hours later on the side of a building. He bled to death. So as I was sitting in my office, I was saying to myself, what could I do to better help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, to save our people? And I said, well, I'm just gonna go on tour. I'm gonna talk to as many young Black people as I possibly can. So I called a brother who is a friend of mine, and I said, I'm just gonna go on tour. I'm gonna go wherever I can, but I need a name for it. And as we were talking, I said, I'm gonna name it the Stop the Killing Tour. And so we started in Louisville. We went to Cincinnati. I was down in Atlanta, did a radio program down in Atlanta, and we went to Milwaukee. 2 weeks ago, I was in New York City for the Stop the Killing. We had a great time. So as Muslims and as followers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we don't have to ask anybody's permission to do something good. We don't have to ask anybody's permission to save our people and help him to raise them from the dead. We don't have to ask permission. You don't have to get a stamp of approval from anybody. You see that we have millions of our people who lack the knowledge of who they are. And here we have the knowledge, and all we have to do is go and give it to them. And you will see that what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad got from Almighty God Allah, that is a message that brings the dead to life. We're not talking about the dead in the cemetery. We're talking about the mentally dead Black man and woman. This message wakes them up and brings them to life. I know what you're saying, but I was studying ancient Egypt. I was studying Egyptology and the 42 laws of Mayat and the Medu Neter. And it's fine that you study that. But you go in the hood with the 42 laws of Mayat. You go in the hood with the Egyptian Book of the Dead. You go in the hood with the Medu Neter, or whatever you think will raise the dead. And you do whatever you think you're gonna do. And people looking at you like, what that nigga say? Who? And we go in the same neighborhood neighborhood with one book, Message to the Black Man. And Message to the Black Man, the message wakes our people up and raises them from a dead level. All praise is due to Allah. So now when I was in New York City, I couldn't go to New York City and not show respect to Malcolm X. Because when I was a high school student and I was out of my mind, as you heard me say before, I had a perm on one side of my head, right? And I had dreadlocks on the other side. And I wore my pants at my knees, and every word out of my mouth was a cuss word, every one. Every time I went to the store, I got everything on a 5-finger discount. I didn't buy nothing. So now, and I didn't come in the nation because I wanted to be a part of a religion, because I didn't give a damn about religion. You couldn't come to me as a high school student and tell me anything about Jesus. You couldn't talk to me about Jesus because you was gonna get cussed out. Because if Jesus, in my mind, if Jesus loved black folks, then why are we in this horrible condition? So if Jesus helping everybody but us, you couldn't come talking to me about no Jesus. I'm sorry, you just got cussed out. So now, but what happened? Because I'm in a place called Mas Mariam, named after the mother of Jesus. What happened was I read a book called The Autobiography of Malcolm X as an 11th grader. And when I read that book, I made up my mind then, I'm gonna join the Nation of Islam. When I read the autobiography, all praise is due to Allah. So now, the day I came to the mosque, I had a long Malcolm X t-shirt on with an airbrush of a star and crescent on the front and an airbrush with F the Klan on the back, except it was spelled all the way out. And I had a Malcolm X book bag on. And I came to the mosque, and these brothers thought they were saying something that was convincing me. I came to join. They could have said anything. They could have said, the sky's blue, who wanna join? I was gonna raise my hand. They could have said, doo-doo stank, who wanna join? Guess what I was gonna do? I was gonna raise my hand because I came to do what? To join the Nation of Islam. They were drilling, they were doing all kind of stuff thinking they were convincing me. I was convinced when I walked in the door. What convinced me? It was the autobiography of Malcolm X. So when we were in New York, I had to show honor and respect to Malcolm, to Dr. Khaled, to Minister Abdul, to all of the great pioneers in the Nation of Islam. Can we go to that next slide? The Holy Quran, listen to what it says. It says, surely he who keeps his duty and is patient, Allah never wastes the reward of the doers of good. I know what you're saying. Man, you here talking about Malcolm. You see him saying, see what had happened was Malcolm left the nation. You ain't gonna say that, bro. I just said it. What are you talking about? But who did you fall in love with? You fell in love with the Malcolm X in the Nation of Islam. The man that said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock landed on us. That's the man that you fell in love with. So what are you talking about? He was a product of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So brothers and sisters, we're here talking about the time and what must be done. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been teaching on this for over a year, and it comes from the 103rd Surah of the Holy Quran. Listen to this. It says, by the time, surely man is in loss, except those who believe and do good, and exhort one another to truth, and exhort one another to patience. Now listen, I'm gonna go back. This is the theme for the year, for the last 2 years. Listen to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said on August 12th, 1981. When I was at the shrine a few weeks ago, now I didn't say 91 or 71 or 2001, this is 1981. When I was at the shrine a few weeks ago, my subject was the time and what must be done. There is so much that can be said on the subject that we could teach on it every week for a year and not exhaust the subject. Now, I'm telling you what a man of God said in 81, and then in 2013, what happened? He did exactly what he said in 1981. Why? Because Allah does not make the messenger to speak an idle word. Are you following me? Now, I had a conversation with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan about this quote. He didn't even remember the quote. But Allah did what? Allah made his word what? Bond. Because he is the messenger of God raised up to save us from ourselves. Let's go to the next slide. So now what are we talking about? What do you mean the time and what must be done? The time represents the judgment. The time that we're living in right now is the judgment of the world. I know what you've been told, that the whole earth is gonna catch on fire, right? And you know, the people that's good, which you think is you, even though you smoking weed and popping pills, right? And got 5 baby mamas paying no child support, but you still think you one of the good ones. See, what's gonna happen is, the people that's good, they're gonna be caught up in the rapture, right? And they're gonna be in the rapture in the sky somewhere, right? While all hell is breaking loose on earth, right? And everybody's dying, and the earth explodes, and we're gonna be living somewhere else on another planet. That don't even make no damn sense what we talking about. The judgment of the world is taking place right now. You don't have to come here to know that. You walk down the street and ask Ray, hey, Ray, is this the judge? Are we living in the end of the world? And guess what Ray gonna say? Man, did you see the weather in Chicago last year? It's gotta be the end of the world, right? On All Hip Hop, they always have this article, signs that the world is coming to an end. And they put this crazy stuff that people do, and those are the signs that what? That the world is coming to an end. You could ask Latasha Nikwa, Tasha, do you think we living in the end of the world? Guess what she gonna say? Yeah, we living in the end of the world. Can't you tell? All this crazy stuff happening. But now, you can ask anybody and they will agree with you that we're living in the judgment. But the part that they can't give you is the guidance on how to make it through the judgment. They can't give you the guidance on what must be done during this time of the judgment. Everybody knows we living in a judgment. A fool can see that. But only the wise can tell you how to maneuver during this time. And this is why you need the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Are y'all with me? So we're talking about stopping the killing. And we're talking about stopping the killing on more than one level. We're talking about black people stopping the killing of other black people. We're absolutely talking about that. We're talking about the police and those in authority stop abusing their authority and using their authority to murder black people. We're talking about that. We're also talking about a government that uses its authority to murder people all over the world. So stop the killing is not just a message to black people to stop killing each other. It's a message to the police, and it's a message to the government, because they are what? The leaders in the killing. What does the Bible say? The Bible says that the tree, the fruit, somebody help me out. Thank you. The fruit doesn't, you can tell a tree, thank you, by the fruit that it what? That it bears. You went to the public food system, and now you in the streets acting a fool. We are the fruit of the white man's educational system. You understand what I'm saying? So now, you've seen every time that you turn on the news, every time, what are you looking at? You're looking at a police officer or somebody in authority that has abused their authority and murdered a black person. Every time you turn on the news. Are y'all listening? So now, see, let me tell you what's happening. You read in the Bible, in the book of Matthew, chapter 24. Jesus says, you will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Now listen to this. All of these are the beginning of birth pains. Now, if you've had a child, raise your hand. Okay, no, brother, I got my hand up, only to encourage you to raise yours. I haven't birthed a child. But I was there when my son was born. And my wife was sitting on the bed, and she had a contraction. And you know, because we watch TV, we think, oh man, let's go to the hospital. So we packed up everything, right? Got in the car, drove to the hospital, right? Thinking that the baby was coming right then. And some of you made the same mistake, that's why you laughing. And you was in the hospital 25 hours, right? Was it 25? We were in the hospital after that first contraction, 25 hours. Well, brother, did you stay up the whole 25? No, I went to sleep. My wife was having contractions, and guess what I did? I went to sleep. I know you're saying that brother ain't right. I understand. So now, why am I saying this? Thank you. It is because the things that we're looking at, when you're giving birth, Jesus described it as the beginning of birth pains. So one event happens, and it's like the first contraction. Then another event happens, right? And then it's another contraction. What does the doctor tell you to do? He says, well, you measure the time between the what? Between the contractions, and the closer the contractions, then the sooner the baby is gonna be what? Born. Are y'all following me? So now, when you see these events happening, and they're happening back to back, let me pull out the timeline. So Trayvon Martin, we're gonna start with him. That was February 2012, right? That was a contraction. Then you had Jordan Davis, what? November of 2012, another contraction. Then you had Jordan Davis was the young man who was playing his music too loud for the white man, and the white man murdered him because his music was loud. Then you had Jonathan Farrell, the football player that got in a car accident, and he was walking towards the police officer, and the police officer shot him 10 times. That was in September of 2013. Then you had Renisha McBride in Detroit that was in a car accident and knocked on somebody's door. The man comes to the door and shot our sister in the head, bam. That was in November of 2013. All of these are what? Contractions. And they're getting closer and closer to let you know, you who are wise know what? That the baby is about to be born. Then in April of 2014, Donald Sterling, the tape comes out, right? And this man had a Lifetime Achievement Award from the NAACP and was about to get another one. See, we're living in a time where Allah is manifesting everything. That's the time we live in. That is the judgment. After the whole Donald Sterling thing, in July of 2014, that was April, then in July, you saw a brother standing on the streets of New York, totally innocent, and you saw the police choke this man to death on national television. Do you understand? And let me say this to the Muslims. As Muslims, we're not nonviolent. We're not. We don't believe in nonviolence. We believe in self-defense. There's a difference between violence and self-defense. If you're standing at the bus stop and somebody comes to rob you of your iPod, they steal off on you, you fall down, and they try to stomp you, you get up and you beat them up. Is that violence or is that self-defense? That's self-defense. There is a difference. The person that was doing the violence was the person that was trying to rob you. You protecting yourself, which is your God-given right to self-defense, that is not violence. Do you understand what I'm saying? Why am I bringing this up? Because our brother Eric Garner, he had, I think, 4 or 5 police officers on him. You saw the video. And this man did not fight back one time. If the result is gonna be the same, you're gonna die. Trayvon Martin fought back and he was killed. Eric Garner didn't fight back and he was killed. So what the hell do we look like letting people abuse us and murder us and not fight back if the result is going to be the same? You understand what I'm saying? You always asking the question, what should you tell your children? You should tell them what this book tells you. Fight with those who do what? Fight with you, but never be the aggressor. As Muslims, I'm gonna tell you this, I was pulled over by a police officer for having one headlight on in the daytime. And this man was writing me a ticket. You know how bad I wanted to cuss this man out? You know how many, the thoughts that was in my head that I wanted to say to this man about writing me a ticket in broad daylight for having one headlight. But did I say it? No, because as Muslims, we're taught never to be the aggressor in words or what? Or deeds. But if you are attacked, what do? You fight with those who fight with you. You understand what I'm saying? And the Holy Quran says you fight until there's no fighting left. So you can't be a Muslim and a punk at the same time. I'm sorry, it just doesn't go together. As Muslims, you cannot be a coward. So now that was in July of 2014. Then August, another contraction. Our brother Mike Brown was murdered. Now, the reaction of some of the older people was they condemned these young people because they burned down a store. What is wrong with us? Because they burned down a Quick Trip. Come on, man, that's just the casualties of war. You understand? That's just, as Schwarzkopf said, that's just collateral damage. Why would you condemn these young people who are reacting the way normal people react? You understand? So that was in August of 2014. Then in that same month, you had a brother who was mentally challenged, Kajime Powell, was killed by the St. Louis police in August of 2014. Then in September, do you see the contractions getting closer and closer? Then in September, the owner of the Atlanta Hawks sent an email about how he doesn't like the fact that it's majority black people coming to his games. And that even though crime is down in Atlanta, it just gives the appearance that there's crime because there's so many black people at the game. Now I'm showing you what has been happening. These are the birth pains. Then in September, you had the Ray Rice. And the NFL said, look, we didn't know anything about, we never knew. We never had any idea that there was another tape. We didn't have that tape. But what time are we living in? You might as well tell the truth today. Because if you don't, what's going to happen? You're going to be exposed. That's the day we live in. So then a week later, they said, well, we mailed the NFL the tape. They had the tape. But they wanted to use Ray Rice as the what? As the scapegoat. And while they go free, knowing that they knew what happened on that elevator. You understand what I'm saying? Now we just had a brother that was killed in St. Louis. Again. Von Derek Myers, right? Every one of these, they try to go through your past as a black man. And if you did anything wrong, they try to put that up as what? As justification for you being murdered. These are the birth pains, and they're getting closer and closer together. This is why we're talking about stop the killing. So now, why is this happening, Brother Muhammad? Let me go to a man by the name of J.B. Stoner. J.B. Stoner was the imperial wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. If you read this book, Message to the Black Man, this man wrote a letter to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He wrote a couple of letters to him. And it's in this book, and you can read the letter and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's reply. You can see how the most honorable Elijah Muhammad destroyed this man's arguments. But now what many of us don't know is that in 1959, J.B. Stoner wrote a letter to Stephen Kennedy, who was the police commissioner in New York, August 6, 1959. And the subject of the letter was, guess what? The black Muslims. Right? This is 1959. Most of us wasn't even around in 59. Listen to what he said. The only thing that can stop Elijah Muhammad and his black Muslims from conquering New York is for my Christian Knights and your New York police to join hands and work together to uphold white Christian supremacy. Now, this letter was labeled confidential and top secret. And he sent it to the police commissioner in New York. Hold on, let me give you something else from the letter. You can look it up for yourself. Listen to what he says. Police Commissioner Kennedy, my dear friend, I now offer you the service of the Christian Knights of the Ku Klux Klan for the purpose of maintaining white supremacy in New York and for keeping the New York niggers in their place. I think, go to the next one. I think 5,000 Klansmen could clean up Harlem if you would give them, listen to this, police badges. This is 1959. If you would give them police badges, they got them. New York police uniforms, they got them to wear instead of Klan uniforms. They will leave their Klan robes at home so the New York niggers won't know that your police reinforcements are white Christian Klansmen. You wonder why the police shoot first and ask questions later and unload in you. Unload a clip in your body is because they are Klansmen in police uniforms. That's who you're dealing with. But if you're teaching your children that they're friends, oh, they're your friends, they're your buddies, then you're setting your children up for destruction. So now, let's move on. So now, what we want to deal in this Stop the Killing with solutions to the problem. Because we all know what the problem is, but what is the solution? So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a man, both, that comes and has the solution. There's no need for us to have a conference on a problem that has a solution. If you are washing clothes and you see stains in your son's drawers, you don't have to call Sister Captain. Sister Captain, I need to have a meeting because my son has stains in his drawers. You have, what do we conference? No, I need all the MGT. I need the sister lieutenants because there's a problem. Maybe Brother Ishmael can be in on it. No, you don't need to have a conference for a problem that has a solution. All you need is some toilet tissue. That's all you need. That's a problem with a what? With a solution. If you got bad breath, there's no need for a conference. All you need is some what? All you need is some mouthwash. Swish it around, gargle, spit, rinse, and you good. So there's no need for us to come around and have conferences and meetings on problems that have a what? That have a solution. But I know what you're saying. Well, see, Farrakhan is a Muslim, and I believe in the blood of Jesus. And if the blood of Jesus ain't in it, then I don't want to have nothing to do with it. So when you get the soap to wash your behind, do you call the 1-800 number for Ivory and ask, do you believe in the blood of Jesus before I use this soap? Do you ask that question? No. If you have a headache, do you call Tylenol and say, before I take this pill, I need to know, have y'all been baptized in the blood of Jesus? You don't give a damn about the person's religion as long as what they got works. What Farrakhan has works. His religion doesn't matter. This man has the solution. Why are we on CNN? For what? This man has the solution. So now, let's go to the next slide. Thank you, sir. So now, we want to put the blame on all of the problems on the young people. But listen to what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said in the Theology of Time lecture series. He said, we must go to the root today to prove that the all-wise best knower is with us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. So now what Negroes and what white people do is they deal with the branch problem instead of going where? To the root of the problem to eliminate the problem. So let's go back to that slide. They try to make it seem like Chief Keef and Bobby Shmurda, just because he said he got bodies. Oh, see, the reason that there's so much killing going on is because of rap music, because of hip hop, and these rappers talking about getting guns, and that's a branch problem. That's not the root of the problem. Or no, see, the root or the problem is violent video games. These children playing Grand Theft Auto. I play Grand Theft Auto. I'm trying to become a billionaire in the game. I'm robbing Brinks trucks. I'm doing everything in the game. I haven't killed nobody. That is not the root of the problem. Guess what that is? That is a branch problem. And if you cut off the branch, what's going to happen to the tree? It's still going to live. So what is the root of the problem of black on black crime? It is that black people do not have the knowledge of self. That is the root of the problem. Not the branch, not the leaf. It is the root. And if you can teach black people to love one another, then you can stop black people from killing one another. And the only man that teaches us to love each other is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And that is why all praise is due to Allah. He's raised up a nation of black people that will not raise their hand to their brother and sister. We have disagreements, but we're not going to fight and kill each other over a disagreement because the root of the problem has been eliminated. You understand? But can you prove that? Absolutely. So I have here a magazine from 1979. Damn. Some of y'all weren't even born in 79. This is Ebony Magazine, August of 1979. And the cover is on black crime. You mean to tell me they had black on black crime back then? Yes, which proves that the root has not been addressed. Because there was very little rap music. Rap music was relatively new. How you putting the blame on rap music? And in 1979, come on, let's be real. Rap music started around 75, 77 in the Bronx, right? I know the hip hop enthusiasts, if I don't get the date right, they're gonna come to me after lecture. See, brother, you ain't real because you got the date wrong on when hip hop started. Well, we know it was in the Bronx. We know that it was in the 70s, right? And we know that it was very small. They didn't even let the rappers used to boycott the Grammys because they didn't recognize rap as music back then. Some of y'all not old enough to even know that. So now, how are you putting the blame for black on black crime on Chief Keef and Bobby Shmurda when black people was killing each other more in 79 than they are today? Let's go to the next slide. Because you got to have actual facts when you're dealing with Negroes. So now look at New York. In 1979, the murder rate was 2,092 murders. In 79, how are you putting the blame on rap music? How are you putting the blame on video games? When in 1979, the video game was an Atari 2600. And all it was a dot on the screen. Man, y'all want to play tennis? This is why we went outside, because it was just dots on the screen. You want to play tennis? It was a boop, boop, boop. But now, black people was killing each other more in 79. They was listening to Luther Vandross, right? They was listening to Frankie Beverly and maize. What are you talking about? Black people were still killing each other. You was listening to gospel music. What no cell phone? What no World Star Hip Hop? What no YouTube? If you wanted to make a call, you had to get one of them rotary phones. And if you had to call a 1-800 number, you had to phone 10 minutes in 1979. What no Facebook? What no remote control for your TV? The children were the remote control. They stood next to the TV like this, right? But there was more killing in 79. Look at this in New York, in 95, right? The year of the Million Man March. 1,550 murders in New York City. But because of the work of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, from the Million Man March all the way to today, look at the murders in New York City. 333. Because of the work of a man of God. All praise is due to Allah. So now, hold on. Because see, you got Negroes that'll tell you, see, man, if Farrakhan was real, they're on YouTube. If Farrakhan was real, they wake up at 12 o'clock, shoot their video, and go back to sleep, right? See, if Farrakhan was real, I'm just saying, man, what is he doing in Chicago? All this stuff going, I'm just saying, he didn't even say nothing about the mayor. All the white people get a pass. Police chief, he get a pass. All the aldermen, they get a pass. You're gonna put the blame for all of the murders in Chicago on the shoulders of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. It's a damn shame. But now let's look at the facts though. In 1979, the year that this was published, the murder rate in Chicago was 856 murders in Chicago. In 95, it was 823. In 2013, it was 415. So what are we talking about? The work of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Father Pfleger, Jeremiah Wright, and many others in this city is what brought that murder rate all the way down. From the Million Man March all the way to right now. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. So now, it is because he teaches us to love one another. Let's go to this next slide. Listen to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said. He said, he who gives you the diameter of your knowledge controls what? Controls the circumference of your activity. So now, can we go to the next slide so I can just break that down a little bit? Can I get that? Thank you, my brother. So now, y'all see that, right? If you have, based on what he said, if you have little knowledge, right? Then you have little what? Little activity, right? If you have greater knowledge, then you have greater what? Greater activity. So we don't have to ask the question, does the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have a greater knowledge? We don't have to, what are we debating for? All we have to do is look at the what? Look at the activity of his critics, and then look at his activity, and the activity will determine who has the greater what? Who has the greater knowledge? Now, you go to public school, and your white counterpart goes to public school. Now, when you get out, you don't have to say, did I get the same education? All you have to do is look at the what? You look at the activity, and the activity determines what? Who has the greater knowledge? We got an education, or what was called an education, and what happened? We went to movement with our mama. We in the basement right now, right? So you don't even have to ask, did you get a proper education? You already know. Because your knowledge is going to determine your what? Your activity. Thank you, my brother. I might need it again. So now let's move on. Let's go to the next slide. So when you come here, you get a real education. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that this prefix in the word education means to bring forth. So the E means to bring out. So if a volcano erupts, what's happening to the lava? It's coming out, right? It's not going in, it's coming out. If I ask a question to elicit a response, where's the response coming from? It's coming from out of you, right? If you see an accident on Stony, and it's a bad accident, and it evokes some emotions, where are the emotions coming from? They're coming from where? Out of you, right? When we evolve from an embryo or from a clot to an embryo to a fetus, to a child, to a toddler, to a preteen, to a teen, to an adult, that is an evolution, but where's the change taking place? It starts on the inside, right? And then it manifests itself where? To the outside. If you get evicted, don't raise your hand if you've been evicted. You got that paper on your door. You try to pull it off before the neighbors came. Don't raise your hand. But you know they're not putting you in an apartment. What are they doing? They getting all your stuff, and the people who you thought was your friends gonna steal your stuff while you at work, right? They putting you out of the apartment. So a real education is what? Is not somebody dumping a whole bunch of stuff on you. The real education is when you receive knowledge, it unlocks what God has already put within you. Now, can we prove it? I'm gonna use LeBron James as an example. When LeBron James was on the Heat or the Cavaliers or whoever, did the coach give him talent? The coach don't give nobody talent. So then why does he need a coach? If the coach is not giving it, the coach can't do what LeBron can do. LeBron could easily come on the sideline, wipe his face, and coach be like, look, LeBron, this is what I need you to do. And he could be like, look, pump your brakes, man. You know who I am? I'm King James. Can you do what I do? Then I ain't doing what you say. Does he have that attitude? Why? Even though the coach can't do what LeBron can do, he still listens to the coach because it is the coach's responsibility to do what? Not give you talent, but to develop the talent that is where? Develop the talent that God has already put within. See, the Nation of Islam is not going to necessarily make you great. You're already great. You're a descendant of God himself. You're already great. We're not making you great. All praise is due to Allah. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan would not make you great. But what he will do is give you the key to unlock the greatness that God has put inside of you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's why you need a man like the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, a spiritual coach. Because what does the coach do? Not only does he develop the talent within, but he also marries talent. You remember when LeBron first went to play for Miami, right? And they didn't win the championship that first year, did they? Some of y'all was happy about that. Like, man, I'm glad, because you didn't like them. But the reason they didn't win is because they had to learn how to do what? They had to learn how to work together. Talented people, great people, the coach shows them how to do what? How to work together. Let's move on. So now listen to what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad says in this book, Message to the Black Man. He says, I am for, remember we said that the root of the problem, not the branch, the root. Well, see, you didn't say nothing about these deadbeat daddies. That's the cause of black on black crime. But now we go to the root and we teach the black man to love himself. And if he loves himself and the black woman is the second self of God, meaning that's him in another body, then he's gonna love who? Her. And then if the children are the byproduct of them both, if he loves himself, guess what he's gonna do? He's gonna love his children. The root of the problem is the lack of the knowledge of self. You understand what I'm saying? So now listen to what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad says. I am for the acquiring of knowledge, or the accumulating of knowledge, as we now call it education. First, my people must be taught the knowledge of self. Then, hold on, let me pause right there. The most important knowledge that you can have is the knowledge of self. It's not the only knowledge you need, but it is the most important. Because you can't make a proper decision without the knowledge of self. Let me give you an example. So let's say I'm going to buy a suit, and I go in the suit store, and I don't know my suit size. So I ask a brother, what's your suit size? And he says, man, I wear a 52. I'm like, that sounds good. Give me a 52, right? Then he said, would you like shoes with that? I'm like, yeah, I don't know my shoe size. So I call up Shaq. Hey, Shaq, what's your shoe size? He got to wear like an 18 or a 20, I don't know. I'd give me an 18, right? Shaq's my boy. So then I went to get a, he said, do you want a hat? Sure, I'll take a hat. I wear a 7 1/4. I call a brother with a watermelon head. Yeah, I got a 21 1/2. I said, give me a 21 1/2 because I don't know my head size. So now I come out the store, right, with a suit on. I wear a 40 regular, I got a 52, right? I wear a 10, but I got an 18 shoe. I wear a 7 1/4 hat, and I got a 21 1/2. And I'm on the corner, final call. Final, hat coming all down over my, final call, suit all down here, right? Shoes falling off as I walk down the street. Is anybody gonna buy the final call? They be like, man, this nigga is crazy. And they're gonna be videotaping doing what? Putting it on YouTube. Why would everybody laugh? They're laughing because I lack what? The knowledge of me. So that's how the world is looking at us. When your name is Barry White and you black as midnight, they're looking at you crazy as hell. There's nothing wrong with being black at all, because a great black philosopher said the blacker the berry, what? The sweeter the juice. His name was Tupac. Let's keep it moving. So now, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad says, once you get the knowledge of self, listen, then and only then will they be able to understand others and that which surrounds them. Then he goes on to say, anyone who does not have a knowledge of self is considered a victim of either amnesia or unconsciousness and is not very competent. Let's pause right there. Every other race and every other ethnic group, because they have the knowledge of self, guess what? They're competent. Drive down to Chinatown, and all the businesses are owned by who? Chinese people. The signs are in Chinese. You go there for egg fried rice, but go there and open up a Chinese food restaurant and say, I'm selling fried chicken, fried rice. This the new thing. I got Harold's chicken in the fried rice. Watch how this blow up in Chinatown. And not a single Chinese person is coming to buy from you. Then you about to go out of business. I get a first bowl away free, and you just buy the second bowl. And guess how many Chinese people coming to you? 0. Why? Because they have the knowledge of self. And they built that for who? For themselves. Can you blame them? No, you cannot. Now, did a man have to come in front of them? Can I get a can for the blueprint? Did a man have to come in front of them and give them a speech for Chinatown? No. No Chinese leader had to say, look, I need all the Chinese people to meet me at the Buddhist temple. I need every Chinese person in Chinatown to come to the Buddhist temple because we need to build something for our people. And we need to do this, Chinatown, for the Chinese children in the city of Chicago. We need schools for the Chinese children. Did they have to do that? Nobody had to give a speech. They all just got together and did what? And built Chinatown. What about Greektown? Did a Greek leader stand up and give a speech and say, look, we're from Greece. You know, Plato and Aristotle, we have a rich history. We need Greektown for the Greek children. Nobody had to give a speech. What about Little Italy? Did they need a speech for that? The people just naturally did what? They said, look, we live here, we gonna own the business and can't nobody else come in. You go to where Mayor Daley lives in Bridgeport. It's run by the Irish. Everybody owns where they live except who? Except us. We're not competent because we lack the knowledge of self. You sitting in the house wanting to be a damn rapper. Yeah, see, I got bars, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? See, you know, I listen to Chief Keef and I listen to Lil Wayne, but when they hear me, mixtape dropping be, you know, on that piff, it's gonna be out next week. You sitting at home writing raps, and the little Mexican children, little Hispanic children, coming with their parents cutting your grass. You looking out the window laughing, little Mexican nigga cutting my grass, you drinking Kool-Aid. Now, but you broke. You living with your mama, right? You running from child support. Because you want to be a rapper. How's that going for you? It's not going. You got videos on YouTube, but ain't nobody seen them. You got 3 views, I understand. We're not competent because we lack what? The knowledge of self. And because we're mentally dead, we need a leader to come in front of us and speech after speech and lecture after lecture and program after program and plan after plan and beg us to do what other people do what? Naturally, without a speech, without a lecture, without going around with cans. It's just what they naturally do. You understand what I'm saying? And then a Negro would tell you, what would I give him a nickel for? A nickel, really? Come on, let's move on. So now, the lack of knowledge of self is a prevailing condition among my people here in America. Gaining the knowledge of self, listen to this, makes us unite into a great unity. Knowledge makes us take on the great virtue of learning. So the root of the problem is that we have been told that, or we have not been given the knowledge of who we are. We can go to the next slide. So you ask me, well, who are we? You're not an African booty scratcher. I know you thought you were. Man, you ain't nothing but an old African booty scratcher. You're not that. That's what the white man made you believe that you were. You understand? Why would they go to Africa and get African booty scratchers to build America? You understand? The black people of Africa civilized the white people in Europe. You go get the movie, what's the name of that movie? Robin Hood with Kevin Costner. And Morgan Freeman plays a black man by the name of Azim the Great, a Muslim, a Moor. He pulls out his prayer rug and does salat. He gets a telescope and looks in it, talking about the black man. And he sees a man way across, right? He gives it to Kevin Costner in the movie, who had never seen a telescope. And he looks in it, he pulls his sword out and starts waving it at the sky, trying to fight the man that's way across the field. What was the movie maker trying to show you? That these black people in Africa had a knowledge that the white people did not have. When Azim the Great is rolling with Kevin Costner and the Robin Hood people, one of the women is pregnant. And none of these white people know how to deliver a baby. And so then they're forced to go to the black man, the original man. When you read in the true history of Jesus, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that every man in the East, that's what he said in 1957, was taught how to be a midwife. That's what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said. In the movie, Morgan Freeman steps up in the film and delivers the baby for Robin Hood's merry men, because they had that knowledge that the Europeans did not have. Y'all follow me? Okay, so now go to the next slide. See, we've been convinced that we're niggers. I know what you're gonna say. See, nigger is what white people called us, but nigga, see, that's what we call ourselves, you know, because see, Tupac, man, see, that's what I don't understand about y'all Muslims. Y'all don't really rep Tupac. You feel me? Tupac said, it's never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. Okay, well, you ain't no nigga then. You might as well stop using the word. Never ignorant, you just failed the test. When the last time you read a book? 5th grade. Did you read the whole book? No, just the first 2 pages, right? You ask a black person, man, you gonna read that? They flip through it, it don't have no pictures. Nah, I ain't reading that. So now, even if you were saying that was you disqualified yourself when he said never ignorant. And we stay ignorant. Then he said, getting goals accomplished. Stop. Living with your mama is not getting anything accomplished. Moving from baby mama to baby mama, guess what? It's not getting nothing accomplished. Sleeping till 12 o'clock, guess what? What are we accomplishing? Let's just be real. So you're not even that. So now, but what does it mean? We're taught, or we've heard, that it means an ignorant person, right? And it's true. If you ignorant, they're gonna make that nigga crazy, right? An ignorant person. But now it's also used, if you walking down the street, you see your boy, and you like, man, what up? And you say, that's my what? That's my nigga, so what is that? That's my nigga if he don't get no bigger. What is that? Is that it? That's your friend, right? You walk right around the next corner, and you see some people that you into it with. And you say, man, let's go get them niggas. What is that? Is that a friend? That's an enemy, thank you. You at the mall on the phone. Girl, I just got off the phone with my nigga. What is that? That's a boyfriend, right? If I told you that when I was in New York, I went to the On the Run concert with Jay-Z and Beyonce. And when Jay left the stage to go change, I was in the front row and Beyonce started winking at me. After the show, me and you. What would you say? Nigga, please, right? You ain't accepting that. So now, this word is used for what? Everything. Right now, we call white people niggas. You on the bus, nigga, stop. He's white as snow. What are you talking about? Everybody's a nigga. So, but my point is, this is a word that we use to describe ourselves, but this word came into existence in 1555. When a man named John Hawkins brought us over here on a slave ship. Before 1555, the word didn't exist. So the question you should be asking is, what did black people call each other? And what did white people call us before 1555, since the word nigger or negro came in existence with a man by the name of Sir John Hawkins? Are y'all with me? There he is. Look at the pinky ring. Right, that's from selling black folks in slavery. So now, what were we before the white man made us into a reflection of himself? So now, I'm gonna go through this kind of quick. Yes. The original people, as I said before, were descendants and are descendants of the originator of the heavens and the earth. You read in the Bible, and what does the Bible say? That he made man in his what? In his image, and after his what? Likeness. If you stand in front of a mirror, what do you see in the mirror? You see your what? Your image, right? Does it look like somebody else? If you stood in the mirror and it didn't look like you, you would lose your mind. You would just start going crazy, right? You know, spooky as we are, we'll start, man, this is a haunted house, right? All kind of crazy stuff. But when you look in the mirror, who do you see? You see yourself. So if God made us in his image and after his likeness, then what are you? You're a reflection of God. You're not a nigga. A nigga is what the white man made you, but God made you into himself. Are you following what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give you just a few examples. So if you go to Egypt, there's a pyramid that's been there for 5,000 years. Most of them have been there for 5,000 years. The oldest building in the world is a building that was built by a black man. And it's been standing for the last 5,000 years. It's called the Step Pyramid, built by a man named Imhotep. Now, the white people worship this man as the god of medicine. He was an engineer, a scribe, or a scientist, a philosopher, an astronomer, all kind of stuff. The man had 50 jobs. We got one. That should let you know that what happened to our minds. Our minds were destroyed. Because if I ask you, what do you want to do? You just want to do one thing. Oh man, I just want to be an engineer. Or I just want to be a fireman. That's all I want to be. I've always wanted to be a fireman since I was born. You just want to do one thing. What does that tell you? That our minds have been what? Our minds have been destroyed. So now, when you look at this symbol, the symbol of medicine, it is the symbol of a black man. You see it on the hospital. You see it on a medical alert bracelet. This is the symbol of a black man. But now, when we were in the public food system, they're not going to teach you your role and your place in the history books. You understand? So now, they teach you, let me go to the next slide. that these were all white people. You saw this movie called The Mummy. Click it one more time. In the movie The Mummy, there was a man by the name of Imhotep in the movie. And Imhotep was portrayed as this white man right here. Now, because we don't know our history, we sat in the movie theater and loved the movie, right? Man, I can't wait till part 2 come out. You went to see The Mummy Returns, right? Not knowing that the real Imhotep was a black man. Now, if you go to Egypt, some of you have gone. You walk inside the pyramids right now, and there's paint on the wall that's 5,000 years old. Now, how could you have paint that lasts 5,000 years unless your people were masters of chemistry? You understand? Because you painted your house 2 years ago, and you opened the curtains, and it left a little line. Wherever the sun shines, it's a little spot right there, right? You know the sun is removing the color. Why? Because the white man has not mastered chemistry. But you mastered it to a degree where you can walk in 5,000 years later and the paint is still on the wall. 5,000 years later and the building is still standing. Okay. This is just some of what the original people have done. Why didn't we learn it? Because to give you that would be to give you life. Are y'all with me? So now I'm gonna move on. Can we go to, okay. Can we go to the slide? Let's go to the slide with Moses as we conclude. Can we go to that slide with Moses? So I know every year around Easter, a movie comes out called The 10 Commandments, right? There's a movie coming out soon. I forgot the name of it. Yes, Moses and Pharaoh, everybody's white. But now, in the movie The 10 Commandments, Charlton Heston played Moses. I believe that's who it was, right? Yul Brynner played Pharaoh. This is the image that we have in our mind of Moses in the Bible. In fact, we think that everybody in the Bible was white. My question to you is, how could these people be white in Egypt and build those pyramids in the sun for 20, 30 years to build a pyramid? If they were white, they all would have died from skin cancer. Let's just be real. We're in Chicago and we're far from the equator, right? But in the summertime, you have white people on the beach. They can't go out on the beach without what? Without something to shield their skin from the sun. You don't need that, most of you. Don't need that, because you have what? Something natural in you called melanin that protects you from the sun. How could they be in the sun for 20, 30 years to build a pyramid? Everybody would have died from skin cancer. Let's just keep it real. Let's move on. So now, this is the image of Moses. You read the Bible. What does the Bible say about Moses? It says that when Moses came to the burning bush, that God gave Moses 2 signs, because Moses was afraid. That should let you know. Let me prove to you that Moses was a black man. When the first sign that God gave Moses is that Moses threw his staff down, bam, and it turned into a what? It turned into a serpent. And in this book, the Holy Quran says when Moses saw that, he started running. It said he didn't return. That's what the Holy Quran says. That should let you know that Moses was a what? A black man. Because you know if something strange happened, what's going to happen? You're going to be gone, right? You're not sticking around. You watch all them horror movies. And you know if you hear the first creak, what's going to happen? I'm out of here. I'm not about to investigate nothing. So now, Moses threw his staff down, and it became a serpent. Moses ran. Allah called him back. Look here, man. It's me. Then he said, here's another sign to show Pharaoh. It's in the Bible and Holy Quran. He said, put your hand in your bosom. And when you pull it out, it's going to be white. So Moses put his hand in his bosom. He pulled it out. And the Bible says that his hand was as white as snow. So it couldn't have been white going in. Because how is that a miracle? It's not a miracle if his hand was already white. So now, I'm gonna prove it. Watch this. I'm gonna put my hand in my suit jacket, and when I pull it out, it's gonna be black. You're not even shocked at all. You're like, okay, Ann, it was black when you put it in. Next, right? So now, then the Bible says when he put it back in, it went back to the other color, but it doesn't tell you what the other color was. That's King James for you. You understand? So now, my point to you is, in the movie, they couldn't put both signs because they had a white man playing Moses. So to put that other sign, you would have been asking questions, so they left that out. You understand what I'm saying? Let's move on. Let's go to the next slide. So now, this is the Pharaoh that they had in the movie, Yul Brynner, right? And we think that that's what the Pharaoh looked like, a white man. Come on, let's go to the next slide. But the problem with that is we have actual paintings of the real Pharaoh. See, the Egyptians have the longest recorded history of any people in the world. They have no record of anybody being in bondage for no 400 years, which we're going to get to in a second. But they have pictures and drawings of their pharaohs and statues. So this is the Ramses I that was painted, not by Brother Abdul. I know what somebody going to say, see what happened, brother. See, they ran out of white paint. It's always a black person that's going to make the white man right no matter what. See, brother, it is a Santa Claus. You see, he don't really live in the North Pole, though, you know. So if you go there, you ain't going to see him because he live somewhere else. But come on, man, stop. It is a rabbit that laid chicken eggs, brother. I mean, you just got to keep searching, you know what I'm saying? Don't make the white man right, no matter what. This was painted by the Egyptians 5,000 years ago. It's not my opinion. It's what they saw and they painted. The white man painted him as a white man. They did the same thing with Jesus. We know Jesus was black. How do you know? Because when he was arrested by the Roman police, what did they do? They beat him up. So that should let you know what? Jesus was a black man. What are we debating it for? Let's move on. So now, let's go to the next slide. I'm showing you how black people lived before we were brought in slavery. So now, there was a Arab Muslim scholar in 1352. We weren't brought into slavery until 1555. So this is before they made us niggers, before they made us Negroes. How did we live then? That is the question. This man is quoted in the UNESCO Courier from 1959. Listen to what Ibn Battuta said in 1352. Before we were brought in slavery, how these black people lived in Africa. He said the blacks possess some admirable qualities. Ain't nobody saying that today about us. I'm sorry. They are seldom unjust and have a greater abhorrence of injustice, than any other people. Their sultan, meaning their leader, shows no mercy to anyone who is guilty of the least act of it. Listen to this. There is complete security in their country. Show me a black neighborhood right now where there is complete security in that neighborhood. You don't have one. The only place that you can go and find complete security is right here. This is the only place where you can go and find complete security. So now, you can't find it in the church because they shooting preachers in the pulpit. You can't find it there. This is why when the police want to fill out their police report on the south side, guess where they park? They park right in front of the mosque. You've seen them, some of you. They park right there. They do their report because they know what? They know. They're not riding up on here getting nobody. They stopping at the gate and knocking and asking permission. Did Tyrone come over here, sir? Did he? I'm like, no, we don't know no Tyrone. Yes, sir, thank you. Because this is a place of what? Complete security. So now listen to this. Neither traveler nor inhabitant in it has anything to fear from robbers or men of violence. Can you say that about the black community today? What community can you go into as a traveler? You can't even ride the train without fear of you don't even pull your phone out, right? You put it on silent while you on the red line, right? Because you know Tyrone and them, as soon as you pull it out, you got the S5. Oh yeah, what a plow, right? And you on the ground, they off the train. So now, but you can't blame our children for robbing people of their phones if we haven't built anything for them. Do you see the children from Chinatown on the train robbing somebody? No, because they know, look, I'm working with my father. He gonna pay for me to go to college. What about the little Arab children? No, they getting too much money from the corner store that you've been going to since you was 5. What about the Korean children? No, because you paying for nails, you paying for hair, right? So they children are not out there robbing people. But we won't get off our butt and build something for our children, so they trying to get it however they can. You might want to live off crumbs that the white man dust off his table for you. They don't want to live off crumbs. I'm sorry. A crumb might be nice. I got a crumb. That's what Negroes are happy about. Let's move on. They are careful to observe the hours of prayer. We're talking about black people before slavery. Careful to observe the hours of prayer. He goes on to say, on Fridays, if a man does not go early to the mosque, he cannot find a corner to pray in on account of the crowd. Another of their good qualities is their habit of wearing clean white garments on Fridays. Even if a man